Hey, everybody. Sorry. I got held up at the, not held up, but I had something I come up right last second. So it kind of put me behind a few minutes, but I just sent Ernie the link. So he should be here in a minute, hopefully. Unless he stands me up or something. Hey, everybody. Hey, Amos. Hey, Mama B. Hey, Penny Monroe. Hey, everybody. Welcome, Maria. Save the bees. Hey, Okie Folky. Oh, there's the you guys, we have the special guest is here right now. And it's going to be Ernie Shell. I heard him on somebody has sent me a clip of Crime Lines and Lies, and so some of the stuff that he was saying on her live were on point for what me and Fred know. That's what we believe is happening, and the stuff that Fred's helped with in Knoxville. So, all right, here is Ernie. Hey, Ernie. It's been.
Hey, it's
like, yeah. Are you?
It's good to see you. Good to see you again.
You look good and healthy, so we're happy to see that. Yeah. How long's it been since you've been on panel here?
Oh my God, years.
This was the first panel.
This was my first panel I ever came on. It is.
Ziggy is always the one that introduces everybody into the community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. You probably were already part of the community. I don't remember how it.
No, I actually wasn't. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. I wasn't a part of the actual community. I was coming in. It was during around the same time of the summer wells. And that's really what brought me in. And I remember watching your panel, and I seen you, and you was covering it. And there was a bunch of you up there, and I chimed in, and next thing you know, you gave me a link. I came up, and then the rest is history.
Right. So I thought that we would talk about primarily focus on the Knoxville connection. Do you believe that Summer Wells' disappearance is related to Knoxville?
Yes.
Do you? Okay. So you do believe that for sure?
I believe that it has something to do with it, maybe before what actually happened. I do know for a fact that Don had Summer in Knoxville. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And and a lot of people, I know that, certain things. We both have been interviewed. We all, let's just say this: we all have been interviewed. We all have had our say-ins and set-ins with law enforcement. Correct?
Yeah.
So I know what I said and what I told, and I've heard bits and pieces of what others have said. Because once you start, you learn. Okay, so there's a thing of filling out the agents. You learn the agents. The agents talk to you here and there, but the thing about Knoxville that really stood out. When I was doing these trafficking classes, when I was doing this general awareness, I always said the hotels. Even Don, even when Don was doing the interview, when I was doing the interview with him, that was brought up. You remember that?
Yeah. Yep. And he was in phone calls about, being at places in hotels and seeing children traded for drugs and, so. Yeah.
Exactly.
Then, I don't know if you ever had a chance to listen to that call, that Lady of the Night call that I was asking you to listen to about the Knoxville call, where the woman claimed to have known of Dawn and then found out the other person was Andy. She said a friend would come there sometimes, and I sent a picture of Andy, and it was confirmed that that's who they believed it was, allegedly. And anyway, she said that Dawn and Andy used to come out there and to these, they get fronted drugs off a guy named Playboy, guy that went by Playboy. I believe this guy is dead now, unfortunately. That I think
he's dead. He's dead.
That's who I believe it is. Unfortunately, it might be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be a good thing if maybe people are like willing to talk now. They might feel safer. Maybe.
It's what they done. It's what they done in exchange for drugs. What really got me is when I heard when I heard that you and Fred was together, I thought, I was like, well, that's pretty unique, that's something how you guys actually met, right? Yeah. And I was like, I mean, it shocked the community. But I always knew that, Fred could be a piece of the puzzle, but he could also be a key. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And by that, I knew what I had already with the field interviews I'd done in Knoxville with the hotels. As a matter of fact, a couple of those hotels that Don went to and done his dealings with in there was ones that was brought in for human trafficking, not even a month ago?
Well, yeah. And also, actually, a bunch of them were raided about a couple weeks after Fred went in and had them dip his phone and stuff with his conversation to this guy named DJ Smith, who was just so happened to be at the same transitional housing place in Knoxville that Fred was. It was really odd how Fred got placed in Knoxville. It almost seemed intentional, like law enforcement.
It was intentional. That was intentional. They had the hand in that. They had the oversight of that. You know that. Because when you remember when I was I ain't want to say way last year, when I was like, I need to get a hold of Fred, and he talked to Fred, and he was like, well, he's in Knoxville, and at that time, he didn't know my stance. I didn't know his stance. You know how it was. Now I do. And I'm like, we're on the same page. I'm just going to say that. We are on the same page. And that's what I want to be. I want to be on the same page. I don't want to be on a different sheet of music and, playing a different tune. I don't want that. I want to be on the same page.
It just wasn't the right timing at the time for us to really speak, or for Fred to, but now's more like appropriate time since he's here and everything. He's here. He just doesn't like going on camera and all that. He's standing here. He'll probably chime in.
How you doing, Fred?
Hey, Ernie.
How you doing, buddy? Hey, it's good to hear from you, man. I hope you're well.
Thank you. I'm doing well.
Yeah, 2 years clean, the 13th of this month. So
that's good. That's good. You got somebody for your inspiration, man. That's great, brother.
Yeah. So you say you talked to a bunch of the motels like down there, right? Did you talk to owners of motels?
I did. I talked to the people who had the let's just say this. To the people that had the extended stay live-ins there. They do it bi-weekly or, when you know a hotel and you stay at a hotel, usually they have this law that you can only stay like so many days. And then after the 30 days, 29 days or whatever, you have to start again. You can't stay the full 30 days. Well, some of them, those extended stay hotels, they're weekly and some of them are even monthly. So people actually live in those. Mm-hmm. They live in them. Right. So if you're going to live in them, you're going to bring your same lifestyle that you do if you had a regular house. If you had a hotel, it's the same thing. You're going to still bring your lifestyle with you, correct?
Yep.
Because it's repetitious.
Yeah, I'm just taking notes so I remember.
Yes, I talked to her.
Because I'll forget if I'm writing stuff down that I'm thinking about asking you about and bringing up, because I'll forget it. So I have to write it down so I remember. Because you mentioned something about the motel's structure and how a lot of times they would have a section kind of marked off for the trafficking, like, basically the motel owner and the trafficker.
They're in on it because they're getting paid a percentage of it. That's the way it works.
Did you know
am I right, Fred? I'm right, ain't I?
Yep.
I'm right.
Yeah.
They're in on it.
And that's what this woman in this call told me. And she claimed the owner of the motel that she knew about was the owner was named Habib. He went by Habib.
Yeah, Habib is his name, Habib or whatever the hell it is. Who it is?
Habib is a motel that she was particularly talking about. She said from the front of the building, you would think it was just one level, but in that
Right.
but you go around the back and there's two levels, and most people don't go back there. Most people don't even.
No.
And they have regular customers for the front, and they get, but in the back they have reserved rooms.
It's the same as they had in Ocala. It's the same as they did in Ocala, Florida, with those hotels that I can't say, but it's the same.
Chapman Highway one.
Chapman Highway.
Chapman Highway. Yep.
Yeah. So right around.
And there's something else too, Fred. Down there in Cherry Street. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I was about to say Cherry and Magnolia.
Yeah, it's right.
So listen.
Good stuff right there.
Tiger Ops took a drone around. I don't want to say this probably, but we had aerial view literally going down on those hotels. You can see the geographical area of it. You can see the dimensions of it. Sorry about that. The dimensions of it, and you can see that. It's just like same as in Ocala, Florida. The way they did last year. 24. It was in July. It was in June or July of last year. The way they did it. But the biggest thing now, with what's going on with that big raid, especially with the raid, what they did is they rattled cages, a lot of cages, to where they would move children everywhere, start moving this out, getting everything going out of the way. And the only reason they do that is so they can round up, they can capture. They're easier to capture because they have their surveillance teams. They've had their surveillance teams for 2.5 or 3 months. So, that's how it works. And but down there on, like you said, that Magnolia and other little Exit 8, let's say Exit 8 too as well. They got the bigger hotel names and the smaller hotel names. And even on the Days Inns down there, man, I'm telling you. Right?
Yep. Something interesting that I found interesting that I didn't know, and I didn't look into it to confirm it, but you mentioned something about that they would refer to the children as dogs, that was a code. That interested me.
So what it is kiddie pools. It's kiddie pools. And kiddie pools is a gathering, like the hotels. But what they also have is a phrase that Fred may know. It's called hawks. That's their eyes.
Hawks? Yeah, so Fred's not really into, he doesn't, he didn't really know people he didn't know people that were involved in trafficking.
No. I'm talking about, it's just a general term. Hawks of any kind of thing there. But anyways, I'm not saying he's in. I'm not saying he's in or not like that. But I'm just saying it's just a general term. It's called hawks. Okay, so they have kiddie pools, hawks, and then they have the women who watch over you. Well, in Knoxville, it's not as bad as that. It's not as let's just say it's not as organized as that. It's nowhere near organized.
They told me that they had women that they would have that would take care of the kids, and yes,
they're called bottoms.
Yeah, and that's what you were saying. And you you remember Jody Sue said the dogs are the key to the case. Also, Andy Bernard also wears this dog necklace. Very symbolistic dog. To me, he looks, I don't know, it doesn't look right.
It's ownership.
Wow. So
it's for ownership. It's a signs and symbols, but it's used for ownership. It's used for a degree and a level. That's what it's for. It's a degree and a level. Each level is different. And to understand the chart and the way the levels go, well, you have to be in the group. You have to understand, because different groups and different, let's say, I ain't going to say organizations. I'm going to say societies. I'm going to say more of a society. Rings, same as, have their different rules, laws, rules. Just as the the HKCs, which I'll explain that later on.
Yep. The woman told me that she was, she claimed it was her friend. I believe she was speaking for herself. She knew way too many details. She claimed it was her friend, but she said that her friend was left, a woman named Diamond who worked at the Mouse's Ear, that went by Diamond, stage name, I'm assuming. And she goes, we'll just call this my friend Ruby. So I don't know if that was her stage name or if that, where she came up with Ruby. It just may have been made up. And she said she met this girl and they went to a party. They were in the drug scene and stuff. They were strippers, obviously. And her friend Diamond took her to this hotel, and that's where she met Playboy. They started partying. Her friend just left her there for her drug debt. And Don Wells used to frequent this girl, allegedly, and supposedly gave her a ride away from that place to basically escape, I guess. I don't know. To Bluntville. And this was actually around the time that Benny Keys was in Tennessee. When Dawn went off to Knoxville that Benny talks about, it's the same situation that I believe this woman is talking about, because it's the
same time. It's the same time Benny was there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the same time. That's why, I tell you what, after this is over, not on live, we'll talk.
Yeah.
I mean, just like in Knoxville, about a mile before you get to the motels on the left side, they call it the circle, but they also call it the bottoms in there too. That's where the three houses they're supposed to be housing, or not three, but two houses that they were supposed to be housing the children at mostly.
You're talking about in that loop.
Children.
You're talking, hey Fred, you're talking about around that bottom in that loop, right?
Yep.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some woman named Colleen was supposed to be taking care of the kids.
Colleen, yeah, was supposed to be one of the bottoms that you talk about. That's what DJ Smith said. His girlfriend would go over there and buy Summer to try to keep her safe, is what she claimed.
But she would sit with all the children when they would go to Atlanta and stuff to pick up their big shipments.
Allegedly, this is what this guy was all saying and stuff, and Fred, of course, had to turn it in, and he knew it was going to go to law enforcement. He claimed completely, he was completely okay with it. I've seen it. I even talked to the dude a little bit and seen the messages and stuff. But when law enforcement downloaded Fred's phone, a lot of it disappeared.
Yeah,
when they freaking download your phones,
they hit it with ICAC. They took it to ICAC, and ICAC does about 2 weeks investigation. They plug that into the phone. It takes it all out. It puts it on their machine. And how long was your phone gone for? About a week or a half, 2 weeks?
Oh, they tried to keep it.
They wanted to keep it overnight, and then where I was having to check into everything I'd done through the halfway house, so I couldn't let them keep it. So they actually sent somebody from Knoxville to Hawkins County, a TBI man, to download everything.
They had somebody from Knoxville drive all the way to Hawkins County, and Fred had waited for a couple hours to then get there. That's how serious they took this.
Was the
like a year ago?
Hey Fred, was the agent's name Dale?
I'm not for sure what the agent's name was.
But he said something about Pruitt, or whoever the investigators were. They said something.
There were 6 other investigators in the room when we was going over all the maps and stuff. And
right.
They talked like they didn't want to push none of that on Pruitt's desk because nothing wouldn't get to the TBI.
And that's when I contacted TBI with all the information of Fred, all the work that Fred did with Hawkins County, because I was like, are they not telling TBI stuff?
Hey Fred, you seen what I went through with Hawkins County, man.
I don't know if he saw it.
What's that?
With Hawkins County. They told me to get out of there twice.
When you tried.
I've never talked to Pruitt, period, on nothing about Summer's case.
TBI had us, we was working with TBI. TBI told us to go, they was on board with everything. They said, go to Hawkins County and see if we could get everything we need together, because they're the ones officially with the case. TBI was assisting at first until TBI said, screw you guys, we're taking over. But
Yeah.
during that time, Detective Pruitt is the one that was supposed to set us up, have everything ready. He waited 3 days, and then he called me back, and he's like, well, I really don't think that's going to help anything. And I'm sitting there like, according to 3 TBI agents, they're wanting us to do this. They're all for it, but Hawkins County didn't want to do anything. Directly
Yeah.
after that is when Ronnie Lawson's son had got hit with that child pedophilia shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right directly after that.
That definitely did not help in Summer's case at all. And it makes you, it's really.
Well, they was trying to keep TBI out of it from day one.
Exactly.
Fred heard them specifically.
That was from day one when they asked me to record stuff. That was one point they wanted me to record stuff for them to try to keep a TBI come out of it.
Right, so they can make their own scenario up and have their own pretty much what they want to say, the syllable of it, everything. Yep. They wanted to be able to relate from you what you were saying and give it to TBI without going through a direct. See, that's ridiculous. Like a point of contact, use you for a point of contact, get your information, and them do their report on it, and then turn it into TBI. It's like going through the middleman to do that. When you should have, when instead of you just saying, hey, I want to go directly to a TBI, which is the right thing, what you really ended up doing in the right thing. Because Hawkins County ain't worth it ain't worth the decals that's on the side of their vehicles.
Yeah. Have you seen this call? I don't know. I want you to see this call if you haven't, with my call with Pruitt that I had a few months ago, or no, back in December when he called me back and said, after I emailed TBI with all the information that Fred did with the Hawkins County, I emailed TBI and then got a call back from Hawkins County, and Pruitt called me. And so right here is the email I sent, and I'll read it out so that I got a response on. Okay. And I said, to whom it may concern, my name is Adrian Amos and I'm married to Fred Hill. I met him when I started YouTube channels covering Summer Wells back in January of 2022. I go by Ziggy on YouTube. I know you are adamant on not wanting YouTube drama sent in to Tipline and are leery when it comes to YouTube. This is different because Fred Hill is a witness and local who I met. And we've been trying to get Hawkins County Sheriff's Department to listen for years now. And I'm contacting you all to make sure you know what exactly has been uncovered. Fred Hill, my husband, recorded for Hawkins County on June 15th, 16th, and 17th of 2021 on Ben Hill Road. At the time, he was in a very different lifestyle that he was completely put in the past, and he was in the drug scene. That is why law enforcement used him. One thing that was uncovered is that the neighbor, Andy Bernard, who is my husband's, Fred Hill's cousin, was on the road, and Fred saw him late afternoon around 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. Andy Bernard is all over YouTube denying he was on the road. You guys have video footage of Andy on the road, and he's denying he was there. He even told Hawkins County on the day that Summer went missing that he couldn't remember what he was driving that day just hours earlier. I have uncovered over my years of research on this case that Andy Bernard and Don Wells would make many drug runs to Knoxville, Tennessee together. I feel at this point they both got into a drug debt that they had to do something about. My husband, Fred Hill, has vital information in this case, and we are wondering why Andy Bernard is not being interrogated to the fullest extent of the law. Andy Bernard knows what happened to Summer Wells. Please take this seriously. We are getting threats and are being blackmailed and remain quiet, along with a few others. We are getting threatened and attacked all over the internet, and I have been getting strange threatening emails along with people taking pictures of us, stalking us, and following us around. Please contact us if you have any questions. We want to help, and I believe Fred has important puzzle pieces necessary to figure this out. We want to make sure that Hawkins County Sheriff's Department has made you aware of exactly what happened when Fred recorded for them. Fred was not out and about. Fred was out and about on June 15, 2021, and he witnessed many things that are vital. We just don't understand why no one is doing anything. Please call us with questions. That was my email. And then I get a call back, okay? This was November 23rd of 2024. So, 7 months ago or something? Here's another one. I sent this one too, so I wasn't sure at the time. I sent these like basically back to back. I said, my husband, Fred Hill, told me something important last night that Don Wells told him the night CPS was alerted by Don Wells to come get the boys. I know Don Wells did that because that night Don went up went down to Fred's at 207 Ben Hill Road and asked Fred for help. He was frantically trying to come up with money for his drug dealer, and he seemed concerned that his sons would be taken, just like Summer Wells. So that's why he called CPS. Don Wells was asking Fred to come with him to Knoxville to help negotiate a deal with the dealer on his debt. Don didn't mention if the dealer had Summer Wells, but I can only assume that's who Don Wells, and in my opinion, Andy Bernard handed her off to. Also, Fred Hill wants to remind you guys about the white HHR that sat at Beach Creek right across the bottom of a shed property of Don's for days before Summer Wells went missing, and then suddenly the evening she went missing, it was gone. And also very important is the dark blue truck with tinted windows that followed Andy Bernard out of the holler on June 15, 2021. Please call with questions. So, and then that was actually the email. Come to find out, that was actually the email that had him call back. It was the dark blue truck that he was concerned.
Because they found out who drove the white HHR.
Yeah, which we believe is related to Cotton Simpson, the white HHR. All right. Let's listen to this. We need to listen to
from your TBI tip.
Yeah. Which email did you get? I sent a couple within the last week.
The one about the dark blue pickup truck with tinted windows.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so, okay, what do you want to know? I'm so sorry. I'm freaking been dealing with this. I'm extremely nervous. I've been getting harassed and I've been, yeah, I don't know if do you know who I am by chance?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, anyways, Fred's here. He's in the room just in case you need to ask any questions. But the reason why I sent that in is because, because Andy Bernard was on that road that day and nobody's questioning him. And he says he was at work all day.
Both us, TBI, and FBI have questioned him several times concerning that. Yes, he was on the road probably.
Yes. Did you hear that? Yes, he was on the road. And then he had to add probably. So, okay, I need you to listen to this because he hangs up on me. And it's
They don't care. They didn't care.
Yeah, I can tell. I could feel it. I could feel the tension. I could feel he was annoyed.
There's no passion. There's no passion in that. That's a throw off voice. That's what that is. You can tell what a passion voice is and what a throw off voice is.
Yep. I know. I felt I could just tell. That's why I was so nervous because I could feel his energy was just sitting there being like, you bitch for contacting TBI. That's what I felt or something. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I didn't know how to take this. I thought, well, there is a lot of pressure on him. Maybe he was annoyed that I was, he felt maybe I was giving him a hard time about Andy. I don't know, but watch how this uncovers. Unfolds.
But most important is this dark blue pickup truck with tinted windows that you felt was very important in this tip.
Yeah.
Why do you feel it's important?
Because, we feel like Andy was meeting him. Because another person. Now, I promise to respect anything you do not want out on YouTube. I promise, because this is really important. But it's, we feel there's another YouTuber who saw footage of Andy on the road, on Simpson Road at 3:37 p.m. Fred remembers a still shot, you guys showing him a still shot of Andy on the road with that blue truck, following, like they were in the same still shot at 3:47 p.m. leaving out. Fred saw him on the road, like he had to move his trailer in order to let Andy by that day at around 3:47 p.m. And
do you know who's in the blue truck?
No, it was two.
In the blue truck, it was just two people, but the windows was tinted so dark I couldn't tell who was in it.
Yeah, the windows are tinted so dark.
Well, like I said, our agency, TBI, and the FBI have interviewed Mr. Bernard.
Well, he went on YouTube and put your guys' call on YouTube, just so you know.
No, ma'am, I'm not arguing with you. If you don't have anything further, we appreciate your information and have a good day. Bye-bye.
I didn't put this call out for like 2 or 3 months, okay? Because I didn't know what to think about what just happened.
And you said the wrong thing there. I'll tell you that.
I know.
When,
I thought, because did you hear Andy Bernard's call put out where he put out with Pruitt, where he's sitting there, Pruitt's like, oh, you're good. You're, basically making him feel comfortable and that
you're okay. You're a good old boy. They didn't want nothing to happen with that. Can I say something I don't know if you know about or not?
What?
The connection with Andy and Ronnie Lawson's son. Do you know that?
No, I didn't find a connect. I haven't found a connection between them yet. Who is it? Who is the connection?
Not for YouTube.
Okay. Well, that's definitely something to look into because, this is a whole ring. And that's why it's so hard. When I was telling everybody last night when I was live, you see, and you know this, when they do busts on trafficking, it's in groups. It's never individual. It's never let's take out one at a time.
It's a net. It's a net.
So they have to take out all these, and that, I feel like they're looking for this person in the dark blue truck, and that's the last. I feel like that's the last piece of the puzzle. I feel like it's super important. I don't know. Fred never recognized the truck. Never seen it around. I mean,
never seen it before, or never seen it after.
We haven't had anybody say any. I mean, haven't seen this truck ever. So we believe it's from Knoxville. Somebody from Knoxville, probably. And I don't think they were even able to get the person's license plate.
I heard, hey, Fred, have you ever heard of a man named Wayne?
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Yeah. It's been turned in TBI.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's one that Don and Candace would hang around a lot, and he's a really bad character. He's probably a part of the ring too. That's just another person to add to all of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What do you think about this PI tip? Mark, he kept saying he slipped at one point, and it sounded like he said she.
He slipped twice. He slipped a bunch of times, and I'm not going to discredit him. But the fact of the matter is, the information he's got and what he's got with is the same shit that I said years. When I said it was the Knoxville, Tennessee, when I said that, I'm the one that brought that out.
It's not new.
And then, no. And then him to go after it again. But here's the thing. The question that he's asking to get his information to find out whether it's viable information or not is what gets me. Because, to be honest with you, child trafficking and child predators, it's a different kind of crime from anything else. Yes, it's the gateway. Yes, it is the stuff else. But this guy, and I'm not gonna discredit him, but just to come out and say, hey, there's a tip. He's on TV here. He's on this and that. I kind of I want to hear more before I, make a definite decision, because the information he's got now, pulling away from the whales, that's not the right information.
Right.
If you go by statistics, the 90% is always going to hold with family. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to be. I don't think he knows what he's talking about when it comes. And I'm saying it professionally and courteous as I can. Detective investigator Jensen don't know what he's talking about when it comes to those statistics. He's not that kind of detective. I am that kind of detective. I'm an investigator. I know all about that stuff. He is not going to be able to overturn that. He can't.
I just don't see how. I don't understand. Like him white knighting for Dawn, that really made me sick. Like telling everybody to leave Dawn and Candace alone. That really made me.
He's trying to make bargains out with the cartel. Right now, Jensen is trying to make a bargain out with the cartel to try to get someone back across and trying to get Trump, the President Trump's help on it. That right there, you can't bargain with the cartel.
Wow. Why are you so fidgety, Ziggy? I always am fidgety. It's just how I am. Yes, Lolly, I believe that's who Ernie is probably talking about. You believe Marlena was a distraction? You think the tip was from Marlena as well, Moonshine Girl? Yeah, I believe it was from Marlena Crawford. Do you have any idea who you believe who he's referring to as the brothers?
Me?
Yeah, and do you think that they're part of the ring? It's hard to say.
Okay. I believe where this is going to unfold at, and I know there's a lot of people watching this, and I know there's a couple of special people in here watching right now because I was already alerted, but I believe somebody didn't get paid and got mad, had information, and said, hey, wait a minute, there's a case on so-and-so here, and did what they did. That's what I believe. As far as going and contacting, I believe there was a side view of it that Mr. Jensen may have got a hold of, and he ran with it. Without checking it twice, he ran with it. That's what happened.
Yeah, I tried to get a hold of him. He wanted to. He left me on red. He's contacted everybody else and responded to everybody else. I didn't understand. He didn't. I was like, I'm pretty confident.
Ziggy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. It was before
I'll have a debate. Get it set up. Anybody, any creator. I'll have a debate with him, and I guarantee you, I'll leave him on red when it comes to this. He's jumping in the end of it. He don't know what he's talking about when it comes to that. I'm sorry. I'm being professional about it, as professional as I can be. But when it comes to missing children, you can't just you can't put your guard up like that. You have to go full force in on it. You have to really dive.
Yeah.
He don't know what he's talking about. I'm just saying.
I didn't feel I know. I don't feel like it's really much either. But I do believe that there could be a brother, Marlena Crawford's baby daddy has a brother who is a tattoo artist for Jody Sue, and Andy, who's an RSO, who is named Bradley. And we've covered him on here. We've seen him everywhere because we looked into the RSOs in the area. The father of Journey is a known thief in the area, big time. Marlena Crawford is as well. They're part of a whole group of people. Marlena Crawford got caught with a bunch of birth certificate, got a bunch of bullshit with birth certificates and stuff. She claims she's being stalked by, who did she say besides Andy Bernard? Who was the other person that she was saying she was being stalked by? Was it Bill Shipley or was it?
No, she tried to say Tony Hammond's. Something
Tony
Hammond. She just run off at the mouth, I think, on that.
Wow. Let's see. My theory: if the drug ring is large, it means big bucks. That means corruption degree goes higher, which higher chances of corruption. Yep. The bigger the money, the higher the corruption. PI also said that John Ramsey was truthful. I thought you said Dawn finished her off with ew. Candace said she had missing BC and security card at one point early on. What's that mean? Oh, missing birth certificates. Birth certificates. Tony Hammond's his long legs. Is that his nickname or something? I had never heard of Tony Hammond's before
this case.
So let's see. What else, guys? What else? Have you ever in any of your besides hearing it from YouTube, did you ever hear of a mention of Playboy come up?
I know who Playboy is.
You think you know?
Or was.
Somebody's trying to, the person, DJ Smith.
Well, so there's have you ever heard, Fred, have you ever heard of a guy named, let's just say this. His last name is Holt Holt?
Holt.
No,
Holt.
no, I've never heard of him. No Holt.
Okay.
Holt. There's didn't Smith, the one that the contact from Knoxville, claimed that he knew Playboy, and but claimed that there was actually technically multiple Playboys, whatever that means.
Supposed to say it was two different ones, a light skin and a dark skin.
What about a guy named Crybaby?
What a Crybaby? Do you know somebody who goes by Crybaby?
Mm-hmm.
No.
But the light skin Playboy was one that was supposedly that had some.
Yeah.
Summer and 9 other girls and 1 boy.
So yeah.
You talking about the Playboy that had the 8-ball tattooed on him and stuff?
I've never really seen.
I think he had like I'm trying to remember the 8-ball, and he had the symbols on his arms and stuff.
I'm not sure if you listen to.
He used to be. I'll tell you where he used to be. He used to be in a juvenile facility. He was a younger like guy. I know this because I transported him. Okay, I transported him. I've got videos of him. It's got his tattoos. What he was doing when he was cuffed. We actually had him cuffed to the hospital bed at one time, and you can see all of his signs and symbols on his arms. I've got the video for that.
Did you hear? Have you heard any gang ties? Like of any specific gangs come up? Like, well, we've heard of mafia. Like, see, Playboy, we were told was Vice Lord affiliated. And
he was supposed to be the highest ranking Vice Lord.
Yeah, and actually the Playboy I'm talking about is older but looks younger, light skinned, and from according to this woman I spoke to who claimed to be a regular of Don Wells. Somebody want to ask you about the like occult ties. Like, I'm interested in that too, because which we've already kind of talked about. Like, I mean, in a way, do you think that there's some kind of like Rick Crawford, Marlena Crawford's dad, told Fred that Don told him that Don Wells told Rick Crawford before he passed away that he sacrificed Summer for his sins, and he felt horrible, was crying, and supposedly that's right. What did Rick Crawford?
I told you what Candace told me he done. So we all know that. I don't want to go into the graphic detail of it, but I also heard too that before all this, I know that the people that I talked to that used to party with Don in that house, that it was a sex house, and they would go up to Don's and they would screw around. I've also heard that the kids were there while it happened in a different room, and then they would run into them ever so often.
Yeah,
I know the people before Don and Candace ever came on the internet, before they became, who they are now, and everybody believing this or that. That house was a fucking mess. It was pretty much a sex house, is what it was.
I mean, Fred talked about on our first interview how he, about how they even had a sign there that they had to get. He had a sign, a plywood sign, with sex acts on it. That got. I mean,
different levels of it. When I first did an interview with Don, he was talking about the dominatrix stuff and the levels of it, and I was like, a normal person wouldn't know levels, wouldn't understand that. They would be like, well, it's just like simple, basic. But that son of a bitch is into every damn thing in the world, especially with Doms and shit. He's a dominatrix to hell. I don't know if y'all remember this, like when he said he did the Benny Keys. He told me what he did to Benny Keys.
I heard that for the first time, like yesterday in that clip.
I was like, Don, we was having a conversation. Don, we was on and he knew it. We just had, we just sat there bullshitting around. All of a sudden, he's like, yeah, that little bit. He said, I took and gave him how did he say? He said, pardon my French, stuck a syringe in his ass, a syringe in his ass or something like that, and bent him over on my couch. And I was like, he was like, yeah. And Don, he was on that. He was like, yeah. And he was going in it. And I was like, what did I just hear? what? Oh my God, it was wild. He was like,
Yeah.
yeah, he said, I bent that bench over.
Yeah, well, out in the open is, these people are putting the stuff out there right in the open for us, right in front of us. Like everything's hiding in plain sight here. And
Do you remember when Benny? Do you remember when Benny come up on my panel, and we were sitting there talking, and Don was in the back. He was on the toilet, and he stood up, and Candace had the tie off and everything that was on there, and Benny Keys' face was going because he couldn't believe he couldn't believe he brought him up there, and I'm sitting there like, Benny? He was like, his eyes. Don had them shades on. He was like, hey, what? And he pretty much turned the camera over, and Candace is over in the corner like he's right here. And
oh my God,
I was like, God,
yeah, I remember that. That was crazy. She looked like she was dead almost. So
the video with the summer dancing in the rain, the red barrel for sale. Notice all those photos that were taken. She's directly inside.
Like that red barrel with the for sale sign. Yeah, that was definitely like a message to somebody. And I do think it's important to know when that video was taken, because it's probably was the video that advertised her. And what
That's exactly what it was. Exactly. And the one with the panda sitting in beside in the pool and her right directly in it and everything, and the money sign. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everything leads up. That's why when Andrew Hiltz come out and he was panda, he was like, well, I promise I didn't know. I'm like, man, it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like hiding in plain sight. Like everything's out in the open, and all these people connected, just like Allie and them. I mean, she even said Allie was connected to even Andy Bernard and Don Wells and all of them. I mean, they're all the bottom shed. It's weird how Don went there first. Don't you think? It's almost like he knew because he had bad things happening at that shed or something. Or maybe, you know what I mean? I don't know. Why do you think he went there first? Do you think that was anything? Or do you think it's just
no, I know where the shed's at. I've been on that hill.
The one that's like on Beach Creek. You know what I mean? That other house, or, crappy building or whatever.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, okay. Yeah. That was probably an instinct moment he had for him to go in, because it's repetitious, and him just to go there automatically. Your mind would automatically do that, just to go and check. You ever catch yourself doing something? Just catch yourself doing something that you naturally do, and you're like, "Wait a minute, what am I here?" You just automatically do it. That's probably what he did. It's a moment to there.
So it probably wasn't anything except the fact that we saw, that white HHR sitting out there, that was sitting out there for days before Summer went missing.
And then I didn't see it. I didn't go out on the 14th at all. But Jackie Dodds spoke about it on a live that he had seen it there on the 14th, but it was there on the morning of the 15th, but was it there at the evening of the 15th?
Yeah, it had been there for days, and then suddenly after Summer goes missing, it's gone. And it was a white HHR, and yeah. So
but they've confirmed who was driving it. So
they think they confirmed who drive that, supposedly confirmed to be tied to Cotton Simpson, and
it wasn't Cotton, but it was a relative.
It was relative.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. I don't know much about Cotton. I never did look into him, but I did find out something. I know that his untimely, what happened to him. I heard about him when he passed away, but what was his ties to Knoxville?
And Cotton?
Yeah.
I don't know really what his ties was to Knoxville.
It was through his relative in that HHR, wasn't it?
I really hadn't talked to Cotton that much. I just know what I've been told about him and stuff. I do know Cotton was the big meth cook for the longest time
in the area. Yeah, he was like the main meth cook. And you remember that fire? He's the one that got in that fire on the mountain. And that was from cooking meth, but he obviously that's not what it was reported as, but he was cooking meth and got caught himself in a fire, and they had to rescue him.
You know, Fred, I'm so glad you got out of the area, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm glad. I'm really
out of the area.
Yeah.
I know he still has Fred still has the property like that he can go to at 207. I mean that him and his siblings, like any of them can go to, but you know, I mean, well, it's almost like, yeah, I'm really glad I don't even know if he would have. I was so scared that he was going to end up dead like all these other people.
Yeah, I did too. I believe it's more of the good old boy system there that.
Oh my gosh!
Let's look at it this way. This is kind of creepy and it's kind of eerie at the same time. Most people in the Summer Wells case, if you really look at it, they're dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It doesn't seem normal. It doesn't seem. It seems like way more people passing away than normal. You know, and I knew. I was just like, I kept, and now people, I struggled with it because I'm like, am I putting Fred in more danger? You know, at first when I first started working with him, like by putting him out there like that, because he was very shy, and really I'm the one that put him out there. He wasn't like trying to be out there and stuff like that. He was okay with it. I mean, he knew I was recording him and stuff. And he had worked with police, but yeah.
You know, there was a few things about that whole case with the timeline too. The timeline's made up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe the timeline. The one they go by now, I don't believe it.
When do you think it happened? I mean, Andy on the road.
I think Andy was also up on that hill too as well.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny is
matter of fact, I can about say I know he was up on that hill.
Yep, and so can Fred.
I think he was one that done
Yeah, or his son. His son is, in our opinion, he got his son involved, and allegedly, people there was
went down that hill to the road.
That's what Fred's theory is, that it was his son that was the one that. But I don't know. I don't really believe that I believe Don and Candace are involved. There's no way that this was just like.
No.
Andy had to pull his part, and Andy got certain ones tied up so they'd keep her mouth shut.
Yeah.
Exactly. I believe it was a money owed situation. Some things could have happened. I don't know exactly the ending of it. Everything, the keys are all there. The puzzles are always there. The only piece of the puzzle left is Summer. That's it.
But I do feel like Candace was lied to. I believe that Dawn made her feel like they was going to get her right back, you know?
Yeah. We feel like Candace was lied to.
When they called her in missing, though, that's what, from my understanding in Knoxville, that's what messed the whole everything up, her being returned.
Yeah. Fred, you know, I talked to Candace.
Dawn thought he'd get out of paying the debt back and stuff, and they just bring her back and drop her out if he reported her missing. And it didn't happen like that.
No.
So
I don't. You know, when Dawn went to jail, Candace didn't have nobody she could really relate to. She could just, you know, for the longest time, you see her, she's sick, she was this, she was that. I've got messages. Oh my God. And she would, one minute she would say certain things, the next minute she would be, you know, with her friend and stuff and be back on track the way it was all scheduled to be. There's more people. Let me just say this. There's more than one or two people involved in this.
Yeah.
A lot more. Even the people who Candace associated with, I'll say this, you know, her comfort people, they know. Because a woman like that, and you can look at Don and Candace both now. Look at them. Just if you take the 3 or 4 years from, look how much they've aged. Look at how they. It's worrying us. It's worrisome They don't know whether it's worrying about their daughter. Is it worried about that, or is it worried that they're ever going to get caught? That's what they're worried about, is the getting caught part. Do you agree, Fred?
Yeah. He said, do you think that, do you think, what do you think Candace thought happened to Summer at first? Like, what do you think she was told? Do you think she was aware? Because we believe that she was told that, oh, they're going to get Summer back once the debt's paid.
That was supposed to be in the plan, you know.
That was, according to Dennis Smith, that was the plan, that they were supposed to get Summer back after some kind of debt was paid. But obviously it didn't. I must not worked out because.
Well, when Dawn called her in missing that day, that's what changed everything.
And then
But if everything's correct, what DJ Smith and stuff got out of Knoxville, Summer was still in Knoxville last year.
And still alive up until
About the middle of May last year.
May of last year, but
that's a blessing that she's still. But then again, I mean,
he even claimed at one point he was with her, and he's like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And then, like, Fred's contacting me, like, "What? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you? I like the guy. He's like, he claimed, and we're like, well, where are you? You know what I mean? Like, what? You know, he claimed he was at Playboy's house and everything. So,
what happened? What? Well, I don't know. Yeah, what happened exactly to Playboy?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. The one that I believe is Playboy. I don't know.
I don't know how much to put out of what come out of Knoxville, you know.
Didn't he just
down to detailed? I mean, how it's supposed to. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I just learned about the Colleen thing. Well, I remembered that that DJ Smith's girlfriend was supposed to be basically like, you know, taking care of the girls, and you know, kind of like how Ernie talked about.
But the main two names that he mentioned was Summer Wells and
Jonathan Tate. He named a kid named Jonathan Tate, but we can't find any kid named Jonathan Tate anywhere. That missing anywhere. Missing. He said a kid named Jonathan Tate out of Knoxville. And I didn't see anything. Now there's I didn't
see some of the girls were supposed to be.
Maybe he wasn't reported. You know, some of these kids I'm sure are reported. But
what'd you say, Fred?
Some of the girls are supposed to be in Sullivan County. That was
Kingsport.
Yeah.
Well, see, there was a girl that went missing right when Summer went missing, right there in Sullivan County, right there in Kingsport. I remember because Summer took all the attention from that, because I remember when it came up, and I can't remember exactly. And that'd be something to go back and look at. But I know there was there like 3 or 4 around that area that went missing at the time. If you really want to push it back,
just like the little
that would be something.
Like to say he was trying to save up off of Mountain View and stuff. See, that little girl is
Cotton Simpson's relative.
Yeah. And it didn't unfold like Dawn tried to say it did. By the grandfather, what he told.
Because Fred talked to the grandfather, and he said, "Go ahead." What?
He talked like Dawn was trying to get her in the truck, trying to get her. When he heard the truck door shut and stuff, and he come out. So I don't know. I'm just going by what he had told Kojak.
And what's weird, it's like, was that some kind of revenge or something? Because it's Cotton Simpson's relative or niece or something.
Yeah. And if you see a picture that I've got of her, way Summers in that one red dress, way Summers' face, and
their eyes, they look like they're messed up.
Just like that.
Yeah, her eyes all big and like, oh man. But yeah, killer looks. That's he got arrested sleeping in a car in Knoxville for trafficking and died later. Oh, the one that I believe is Playboy. I I mean, that's just a theory. I believe the guy's name is Marcus Washington, and he's deceased now. Playboy. That's just a theory. I am just going by his connections to Rogersville and him arrested at Rogersville for warrants out of sex trafficking out of Knox County and Knoxville area, and his Vice Lords ties and all that stuff. And he died in 2023, May of 2023, and. They have been selling her before. Yeah. Do you believe it's Marcus Washington, Killer Locus? I mean, now it's okay. I feel like it's okay to say because he's not with us anymore, but, I didn't know she was related to Cotton. Yeah, I just found that out. Fred, there's so much information, guys. It's so hard to.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm just, was it ever? I've heard bits and pieces, but was it ever really confirmed about what happened to Cotton?
No, I don't think.
Well, besides what you.
Yeah, what I was told.
Now, law enforcement. He talked to law enforcement, or about the person like Cotton, where he was found. And whose house it was behind is a known woman.
It's a little girl that Dawn was trying to pick up's granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the house that Cotton passed away behind, supposedly fell, is Betty Jo Simpson. Betty Jo Simpson is the girl's. The little girl is she's the grandmother of that girl that Dawn tried to pick up. See how everything's just connecting?
It's a ring.
Yeah. And so Betty, Cotton ends up dead behind Betty Jo Simpson's. At first.
And see where the little girl was, Dawn tried to pick up the little girl. That's where Cotton always hung out at Kojak.
Sure.
At the little girl's great grandfather's house.
Wow. Yeah, you guys, everything down the road, you guys are going to see how everything connects, and it's just going to all make sense. And you're going to see why it was so easy to kind of why it took so long. Why it has taken so long. Questions, guys. Didn't Cotton have a lot of money on him or something the night before, and that's why they followed him home?
I don't know how much money he had on him. He allowed he had some money on him and was worried about getting robbed or whatever.
Yeah. And you guys, Cotton Simpson and Marvin Simpson are cousins and were really close, I guess. I don't know.
That's how I found out that he was even passed away was through Marvin Simpson and Haskell Rhines was the two that pulled up and asked me if I'd heard about him, and I told him no. And that's how I even knew about the gash and stuff and where they had found him, because Betty Jo had told them, because they just left her house and come straight to mine.
So that's why, when Fred went and gave the information, they gave him a lie detector test, because Fred knew about the gash in Cotton Simpson's head that public didn't know. Where that information came from was from Betty Jo Simpson. What about the cemetery theory? Yeah. Jason Arnold's been dead way before Summer went missing.
Well, I looked at it. Go ahead.
I don't see the cemetery playing there,
No.
What were you about to say, Ernie?
So,
did you look up that guy?
No, not yet.
What's wrong?
We was going to talk about, you was talking about what Fred had mentioned about bottoms and stuff.
Yeah.
About the females. So what happens, I know in New York City, this is how this plays out. Going through Grand Central Station and the tunnels, I know that one way they do is they'll have about 20 or 30 kids, and they'll have one woman per person, for the kids and stuff to lead them out. And they'll lead them through, because you don't want to lead them, just like where they're out in the open and stuff, because anything could happen. So they do take them through. There is a Grand Central through the Grand Central station there. There is a couple of abandoned tunnels there, and on certain nights and towards certain dates, they do lead those kids out. Um, and again, the law in New York, you can't have weapons, so therefore they let these females do that because they'll get over with the kids faster than any males would. And then of course they have a pickup system set up for that. Now with Tennessee, with the way what I've seen so far is they'll have like 5 or 6 kids and they'll take them all into one area, into a trailer or somewhere, and they'll have a woman that watches these kids until they go to their destinations or to the buyers or whoever. And during this time, usually the bottom also they may request photos of them or Polaroids, anything of.
Do you think that you're speaking of bottoms? Like you remember all those pictures of Allie and all those kids and stuff? Like she was do you think she was a bottom? I mean, I don't know. I mean, with all those like shaved heads and stuff, So
let's say this. When they say it's meant to not be seen by average people, everyday people, it's meant for people like the average person to be able to walk around normal in town and be seeing it but not recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it all day long and not recognize it. That's why they use signs, symbols, words of substances and codes and this and that. That's why they have the levels and the colors. They have colors also. That's why they have things like rain, dropping water, waterfalls, red, white. That's why they have that
dyeing
for
her hair. Dyeing her hair.
red, ready, white. Yeah, rain. Ready to go. Sale, for sale. Sale is real big. The word sale is big, huge. As a matter of fact, it ain't like SELL, like you're selling. It's sale. Different. Big difference.
Yeah. There was somebody that I was in court with who I believe I know who I tried to contact who I believe the guy was, and he's denying basically it was him. But anyways, he had said, what was it?
I wasn't in court with him. There's another boy had went to court.
See, guys, I can't keep things straight.
And had heard him, and he knew that I had been trying to work with him on Summer Wells, and that's when he come to me and he said, well, he's trying to work a deal out with them, saying he knows information, about Summer Wells.
Yeah, so somebody came up to Fred and said there was somebody in court. Yeah, that Logan guy or whatever, Linkus or whatever.
Linkus.
It's who I believed it was, but he said it wasn't him. But the description, everything was right on point. And there's only so many people in court that day. But a person that was in court with him claimed that in court, the guy had said that asked the judge if he could give information on Summer Wells in order for some kind of leniency. And then, and this was when Fred was in jail.
Yeah.
So this would have been in 2023, like the last part of 2023 or the summer or whatever.
Yeah.
So, the bottom, and the bottom's main goal is just to watch over the children, making sure they take care of them, and then they're that branch, they're that transport branch too as well, that takes those kids to to meet their dates or whatever, the destination in the hotels, which I know 3 hotels in Knoxville that they're run the same. And then again, you have the people don't think, they don't understand, but the hotel owners, that's why they separate sections of it for. That's they have the right to say, hey, and if you look at it, it ain't usually like one here, one over there, one there. They're all together. They're 3 or 4 rooms together, and their codes are out there.
They were cooking meth in those rooms and stuff too, and crack. Which crack is different because it's not as dangerous to cook that, but the meth, cooking in a motel and pressing pills and stuff in one room, cooking meth and crack in another, that's dangerous, you know, like I'm surprised none of these
main-
motels have blown up before.
The main
Well,
motel,
I know the danger. I don't know much about drugs, period, but I know my ex-wife, she blew the whole side of a neighborhood up with meth one day. It was in the news. It was in Corbin, Kentucky. Uh, she's my ex-wife, of course. I was not with her, but she did. She made world news with it. She took houses out and everything. So yeah,
Wow.
and she blew her boyfriend up with it. So I don't know.
Oh,
No,
so somebody did.
it's in the news. As soon as you type it in, it's in the news. I mean, it was world news.
So did he
All you
die?
got to do. No, he was
He
burnt. He was burnt real bad. It burned him up. I don't know if he died or not. I don't. I can't remember. All I know is I was in where was I? I was in Florida. I was on a boat dock, and I was sitting on a boat, literally kicked back, and there's agents come walking toward me, like, "Whoa, wait, hey, you know Miss Amanda Brown, Amanda Shell?" Yep, that's my wife, ex-wife. Well, I mean, we ain't divorced, but yeah. Well, can you come here, Mr. Shell? Yep, I can come here, buddy. Hey, my hands is up here. No weapons, no weapons. Actually, I got a knife. I don't touch it. I got up out of there, and they had pictures in a file. They what we can get. Well, yeah, let's go in the boat. We'll just go. Let's go in the boat. We'll be cooled off, you know. And we went in the boat, and I said they sat there with me about an hour. I was like, God Almighty! You can read about it. It's all in the news.
Yep. We'll have to do that. Do you think that candidates being seen at the gas station in St. Clair was a drop-off point? I would have thought that originally, but then
Gas stations is always a drop-off point. Welcome centers, rest areas, gas stations, depending on what the layout is. It's the layout. It all depends on the layout. It's the same as the hotels. If the hotels has got the back fort, they call it, it's the layout of it. That's why they design them like that. I mean, look how much money they're making doing that. Think about it. They're making tons of money.
but see that gas station in Greene County, it's a pickup point for the Greyhound. And I do know a week after the information was turned in at Knoxville and stuff, the U.S. Marshals was watching the
Greyhound.
Stations and regular.
Did you know that's the main reason they have that cop there now? I know when on the Greyhounds, because you know how easy it is to purchase a Greyhound ticket for anything.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's all,
That's
all
the
the
biggest-
illegals. That's how all the illegals do it. When I went to use Greyhound to go down to Tennessee, oh my gosh, there were so many people that couldn't speak English, and I was like, oh, this is how people are traveling.
Look, we was getting robbed. We thought we was getting robbed one time at a Greyhound station. Me and my buddy was. They was log giving them. I was like, I couldn't understand nothing they said. He comes out with this idea. Well, we're bounty hunters, and we got bounty hunting badges. He jerks his jacket open. He says, "Immigration." I swear to God, there was probably 25 in there that just like this gone. They left us right in the middle of everything. They seen that badge and they were gone.
That was
And that's true.
That was at Greyhound station.
That was at a Greyhound station.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah,
It was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was the old Greyhound station they had.
And see, the Greyhound station in Knoxville is about a block from the one motel.
Yeah. Really?
Mhm.
Knoxville Greyhound next to Motel?
Yeah, right next to the one motel on Magnolia.
And I'm going to say this. When I looked into this, when I did the field interview in Knoxville with the hotels, because the thing that really stuck out to me, it was Don's interview with me when he said, "Ernie, I have been there where kids have been sold."
He told me.
You remember that, right?
Yeah, he told me the same thing.
And he said, "I know what goes on." He says, "I know where they go. You don't know." So I let him bring him into it. And then I was like, wait a minute. Then, right after that interview, he said, she's probably in some hotel in Knoxville. You remember what he said with that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what gave me the idea to do the field reviews and stuff I did, the field reports. I'm not going to say because it could be coincidence, but there was members of that church who also have affiliations with those hotels in Knoxville.
Really interesting. You said that right when I put this on the comment on the screen, because I'm telling you, I'm kind of psychic like that. Right when you were talking,
wow. That's cool, because I can't even see the comments until you do put them on there. That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
but yes, they are. There were a couple high uppers. When I say high uppers, I mean in a church that were frequent visitors to that certain hotel. I'm not going to say, because of what it is and allegations being made. I'm not going to say anything. People, it is what it is. TBI know, TBI already know aware of it.
Yeah. Have you looked into, I don't know if you've really spent much time looking into this guy, that Ryan Finds Truth guy that is like buddy with Andy Bernard.
Andy Bernard, that's just a throw off. That's a throw off. That's why I never looked at him.
He showed up on the right around time Fred was in jail, and
he showed up at the perfect time to throw the perfect bolo is what he did. Fred was out of the way. Mm-hmm. The story was like here. Everybody was focused on Fred at that time, anyways. Correct?
Yeah.
He shows up. Everybody, it's what they all did in the beginning with the damn timeline. Think about it. They threw everybody off in the first of it. Oh, this happened here. Even the police are idiots. They're idiots when it comes to this. They don't know what they're doing. They was all thrown off at the whole thing. Looking here while it's happening over here is what happened. Mm-hmm. Get the space. Get that 72-hour distance. That's what you got to have, is that 72 hours. Because everybody knows leads, code stories, code proofs, everything. Everything goes cold after 72 hours.
Yep.
It's fact.
Do you think Eastman's tied to this? Ryan works at Eastman. Andy's father worked at Eastman.
With the Eastman Chemical Company, I mean, I know I've had people working Dobtar. My family and stuff. No, I don't think the actual company Eastman. I really don't believe the actual company would.
Well, they did have ties to some weird shady stuff in Mexico, but with the mafia.
In a way they do. But, that's branches off. I mean, again, when you go into like people of power, that's what you got to be careful with. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, that's what you got to be really, really careful with.
It's very scary.
Is the people of power.
That's why
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'll say this publicly. Hawkins County is dirty. Very dirty.
Oh, yeah.
Very dirty. More than just what they're covering up or sweeping up under. I know they are.
I've seen too many.
When an officer walks up to you, when they're walking up to you and they're taking their body cam and turning it off.
Yeah.
No, hell no.
Did you know that Fred saw Don Wells hand Andy money on the day Summer went missing? The evening that
is that the brown paper bag that Candace talked about?
It wasn't a brown.
It wasn't in no bag. It was just folded up money he handed him, and then they walked away. I was recording him on the 15th.
Well, Candace said something about a brown. Well, it's been a long time, but it was money in it because they dropped. She said the way it happened, it was dropped and picked up. It might have been, I don't know, but it was something about that.
Did she ever mention Andy to you or anything? Really, or did she kind of keep other people out of it too much?
She didn't want to put nobody in it. But when you get her talking, she would. You could make her recall, and she would say certain names.
Yeah. Do you know Rihanna Benson said $50,000? Do you know is that what you're
$49,000 is what I heard.
Well, I was told 42,000, little some change.
Yeah. I was told around. I think it was around 49,000 is what I was told.
Okay.
But what Dennis said, it was 42,000 and something.
I thought it was like 42 at first and 5 or 7, or they'd already I don't know. It was something scattered around. I don't know. I don't think But anyways, it was under $50,000. It was under the 50 amount. It was under the 50 mark.
What do you think they were doing with I know it's a trafficking thing. What do you think that was point was for shaving her head? Was that to make her look like a boy, so to try to keep her from being taken?
No, it's a power move. It's a power move.
I feel like it was because transaction getting ready to be made, so they wouldn't know.
It's a power move, is what it is. It's a sell power move, is what it is.
And so what do you mean? Like you mean like dominatrix stuff?
So
Is that what you're mean?
no. Well, that could be part of it too. But before a sale's made, they
Yeah.
take your dignity. They want your dignity gone. Everything's gone. They strip you for dignity. That's your hair. For a female, it's her hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and well, it could be a disguise too. Also, I didn't know if you know this or heard about this tip. Fred spoke to somebody back. What, didn't she come straight to you about it, or didn't you talk to her about seeing Candace on the road, or Candace at the aquatic center?
Yeah, she talked to me about it.
And
that's like a next day after summer went missing.
Next day after summer went missing, and she had mentioned to you she'd seen. What did she say?
Just supposed to seen Candace. She didn't know who they was really. She know that it was summer and there's supposed to be another blonde-headed woman there and like several kids, and then I'm assuming Grandis was with her.
And
was the way she talked.
But what did she say? She overheard something like them talking and
talking
stuff?
about DCS and stuff, but I don't know how much to believe of some of it.
Yeah, I've tried reaching out to this person, and
Well, I've heard a couple different things with that. I heard that it's supposed to be a hold off position, but they owed money. I heard that they knew that DCS was coming. They wanted it to be done with that. I've heard different things. Candace told me a bunch of shit. I mean, just to be honest with you, and but she's also told me other things as well. But I tend to think that what I said before happened. I think that the Knoxville stuff, I honestly believe that the Knoxville stuff happened prior. And I do believe that. And I'm hoping that what Fred said about her being seen last year is true.
Yeah.
But then again, I know what she's probably going through.
Yeah.
And, because
which one's
I know
really even
right. What they should do is, and this is simple, and I don't know why the TBI don't do this. They have enough reasonable suspicion to at least interrogate Don Wells and Candace Wells separately. Why hasn't nobody pulled them apart and asked questions? Why can't they hit the dose effect on it? Why can't they do that? Why can't they bring in the good cop, bad cop on each one of them and interrogate them?
Right. Especially when he was in jail and stuff, and like, why didn't they take those opportunities? Like, I don't know. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Maybe they already knew. I mean, like Fred said, he's outside right now, but he said from the day one, they knew that they were telling Fred that they knew that Don had tried to sell his son previously. They knew on the day Summer went missing already about Don trying to sell his son in the past. And so they wanted him to like talk to him about a drug debt and record him about a drug debt and get information on that. And so,
one thing that pisses me off, one thing that really still pisses me off to this day, 2 weeks ago, Don was at some of those hotels in Knoxville. He was there 2 weeks ago. So Let me ask you a question. And then last week, he was on my friend's property. Him and Candace was way back in the back. I'm not going to say much about it. Camping out. He don't know that I know that, but I know that.
State or in Tennessee?
It's in around the Virginia area.
Yeah.
Gate
Is he
City.
allowed to be going outside of the state?
Don does whatever he wants to do. If he don't think there's a lead on him, he does whatever.
Isn't he on probation? I mean, I thought that.
I don't know what he's on. I don't know what he's on. I know he does do things. There's a couple people that seen him. There's a couple people that's told me about it. Hell, there's.
Let's see, like on the 16th, Don had come to my place and trying to find out if I know how to access the black web to see if Summer's already been listed on it.
You see the BitTorrent on, see that again, and it's that time, those sites that were on there in 21 that, I mean, that just goes to show you, man.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Sorry, I had to walk away. Can you Can you give me 1 second and talk to the chat? Answer the questions while I go use the bathroom.
Yeah, I can.
I'm sure they'd love to hear from you or talk to you. So just give me 1 minute.
Oh, wow. Let me get over here to this chat. Okay. Go ahead. Questions, guys. God almighty, it's a lot of them. John said he brought drugs back to sell, and a girl dropped off the girl, sold drugs, and kept the money. Okay. I don't know about that. Any questions, guys? Ernie, you know about the gap. Which gap you talking about? I know a lot about certain gaps, yeah. If not, let's see. Fred, have you ever seen Candace and Don dress his son up as a girl before? That's another power move, Carolyn. Be honest with you. I can show you all where this is at. But I know all about Bull's Gap. Yeah, I know where a lot goes. Do you think Lawson's son had pics of Summer? I'll tell you guys this. What I came up with, and what a couple more of my friends came up with, is that Lawson and this is something Andy, and I'm not going to just say, I'm not going to come out there and throw somebody up under the bus, but I'm going to say this. I believe that Ronnie Lawson's son and Andy are connected. I do believe they're friends. I do. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of people in here. Thank you. It's nice to see you all. And yes, I appreciate it. Killer looks. I've seen some of your videos. You're very punctual. I'll say that you're very, very punctual.
Thank you.
Don and Candace's kids was 1,000,000,000%. Yes. Ernie, you mentioned Wayne. The Wayne that like I said, guys, you could get in a lot of stuff for this stuff.
Oh, he's you know what's so interesting that you hesitated there. Fred even told me not to bring him up. So interesting, or not to mention him because he's dangerous. So
I know what he does. I know he is. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. But I to a point, guys.
There's two big Waynes.
Two different Waynes.
Oh, is there? I'm thinking
Remember we turned that one into TBI. That's dangerous. Then Wayne Morlock.
Oh,
You talking about? Listen, hey Fred, are you talking about the one with that are with the runs from Mexico?
The one with what?
Runs with Mexico.
No, I'm talking about the one that's got Guatemala ties.
Well, I mean, other country. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Cockfighting.
Yeah.
Too into cockfighting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He actually used to go to the was it Pineville, the one in Pineville, the chicken fights, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was answering questions, and
So
Z, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was involved in the Summer Wells case, like I said, I literally had the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department pull me over out of jurisdiction. It was out of jurisdiction, and and told me it'd be best if I left it alone. That's exactly what they said. I had it on record. I let the world know. That's the one reason because I question. I mean, I'm not going to say much about what's going on. I mean, TBI's got their things they're doing now, and I think that's the best for it. But when Hawkins County was the officiators over that case, it wasn't going nowhere. It was a standstill. And you can see the directors was mad. It was mad. TBI was like, well, it's pretty much like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's just like what Trump said. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. And nothing's moving, nothing's going. But you see, when TBI takes over everything, you start seeing things the rattling the cages and stuff starts happening. Hawkins sat on it. They sat on it. So If
What
I was
made
hop, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead. I just thought it was funny. This person's trying to be really, trying to. What made Don be so open to you about the dark web?
He come to me trying to find out
If he could access
if I
it.
even knowed how to access it to try to find out what I knew.
See, the only way on the dark web, you have to have torrents to get there.
No, you just
There's
go.
ways.
It's
You
not.
didn't just type in dark web and it come up or
I
nothing.
tried one time. I accessed it one time, like 15 years ago, it's pretty easy, but they used to have what's it called?
So look, they have their pedophilia groups. I'm gonna tell you how they get away.
It's
The
just basically
pedophilia groups, they have pedophilia groups on Telegram. A lot of them. A lot. Signal, Telegram, and they have groups in their group chats. So they also operate, even though Zoom has a protection field, they still use Zoom, and they put children on Zoom, and people are allowed to see the kids from there, and then they'll give directives. What do you want this child to do? And it goes from anywhere from.
wow. So they're doing it online too. Then
That's the biggest. That's where it's at. That way it ain't. And the reason they do it that way Polaroids is real big. Polaroids is big. It's not like the girl in Florida that went missing, and I found some Polaroids in the floor, and the police was like, "Nah, this ain't got." I'm like, "Yes, it does." They took a marker and marked that Polaroid out for a reason, a permanent marker. I said, "These are the ones that the acts were not what they wanted, what the buyer wanted." They said, "No, no, 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 no. These are not even right photo. No, no, no. This can't be." But they do that to keep from having that line web. And that line web is on the internet. It cannot be accessed. If you just got a Polaroid, anybody pick up a Polaroid, anybody fingerprinted or whatever, anybody can touch it. Anybody can. And that's why when the cops came and the family came, they was like, "This is my sister's camera. This is my sister's Polaroids." It was a girl went missing. I had never been there before in my life. And I knew what to go look for, what to look at, what to see, what there. And I could see where they took the Polaroid on the table and tried to wipe the film off of it and tried to destroy it that way. It didn't work. So Polaroids is big. Now, wasn't that Polaroid camera that was missing?
Yeah, I think so. Don and Candace mentioned a Polaroid, didn't they? Yeah. Yep. What about this Tim Mullins? Yes. Do you know, people are saying that Don and Tim knew each other before Summerwell's case, and that there's a picture of them together.
It's actually on Don. It's on Facebook page of Donnie Wells, not Don.
Yeah, I'm going to say something about Tim Mullins. His career field that he's in with the music, and I'm not going to say all musicians or music artists or nothing like that. I want you to take and look at the characteristics. I actually have it in my curriculum that we studied. The curriculum of the characteristics of pedophiles. Did you know that most of them are into the music stuff? Simple. I mean, just asking. Tim Mullins was.
He did the theater stuff too. Theater and making,
theater, the arts, the art.
He's big into making videos and movies.
He's supposed to be in a movie production now in Knoxville.
So
Took your question wrong. Sorry, go ahead.
There was a guy we did investigation on. There was a guy investigation on in Ocala, Florida. It's at the same time the hotels were shut down. I did a video of the hotels that was shut down, the side of it, the way it had been shut down. And at that time, that operation, it was this guy had videos and tons of videos. And his partner was from Slidell, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
In his home, he had a computer system in the back. He had cameras all in his house. And everything was recorded. Everything in that, everything, every movement, as soon as movement comes, the recorder would kick on.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was doing was bringing underage boys. He was bringing underage boys in that home. And he would get them fucked up, messed up, drugged up. Mm-hmm. And he would take advantage. He would have advantage of them. This guy also worked for Jeep.
Heap.
So Jeep.
What is that? HEEP?
No, Jeep.
Keep.
JEEP. Jeep. The company, Jeep.
Jeep. Oh, Jeep. Sorry.
The factory company.
Okay.
So yeah, it was big. It was huge. That was brought down. The hub we busted in, we broke in New York, and it was a big one too. But anyways, keep going, keep going. We're talking about it right now.
No, you're good. Let's see. What do you mean, Stein, Eric, about what you mean? Remember, Don was so worried about his missing Canon camera. Where does Don go? Where Don goes to that house and camping? Who knows? Summer could be right there. Don goes there all the time. Hear Marlena tell it on PG. Which house is that? David Dotson. I don't know. Do you think David Dotson really? And I mean, who do you know that probably recorded Don and Candace for law enforcement besides like Fred? Obviously, you know, Don B was trying to say that.
I heard there's 3 people that went to the TBI. I don't know. I know. We all know one of them. I mean, obviously.
But I'm wondering which ones like had law enforcement asked to record for them. I wonder. Because I know that law enforcement asked Fred specifically too. So I'm just wondering who else they asked. Couldn't have been just Fred, I wouldn't think.
I would say everybody they come in contact with, whether or not they accept it or not, that's called. I mean, that would be protocol.
A couple from Creek denied that, you know. I mean, I know David Britt was asked and he denied. I know that. There was another one Fred knows, but he's trying to think of it. But yeah, David Britt, which was a main focus of them, which is Crystal Spencer's baby daddy, who is the girl that he slept with that Candace talks about.
It was supposedly his son, David Britt's son, that was dressed up like a girl at Dawn's at that birthday party instead of the Wells boys.
Well, Fred knows that the law enforcement was really focused on David Britt at the beginning. And he has
well, you know, there's 2 places I'm going to tell you this, and this is what I've heard from field investigation and field work, what we done at that time in Knoxville. Knoxville and Cloud Apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Summer was there. I know for a fact.
Cloud Apartments, that's not Knoxville, is it?
That's Sullivan County. That's Sullivan County. Fred, you know where Cloud Apartments is at, right? In the corner of that.
Yeah, Fred, that was one of the first things Fred talked about is Cloud Apartments and Jody Sue and Andy Bernard's, you know, how that part of the building had to be like completely demolished because of how bad they left it infested with like freaking bugs and stuff. They had to tear the whole freaking place down because of them. No lie.
You know that. I'll tell you 3 places: Model City Apartments, Cloud Apartments, and the places in Knoxville.
And also,
I know the number for a fact.
West something end.
West Side Inn.
West Side, yeah.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone now, but it wasn't when Summer went missing. When was Summer at those apartments? Do you know of?
I don't know the dates.
I mean, like around.
I mean, this has been years ago. This has been years ago. I mean, you know,
okay.
The Knoxville stuff. I know. It was 2 weeks, 3 weeks before Summer went missing on the Knoxville stuff. I know that was the nearest that they could say that before she went missing. I know that.
That they had been there down in Knoxville.
Yes. And you know what's funny? It's the one. I'll tell you who told me. It's the one little dude with the bald head with the teardrop. He's light skinned, but he's real skinny. He's about 122, maybe about 125 pounds, maybe 130 at the most. He's about 5'8", 5'9".
Is somebody from Rogersville?
No, he's from Knoxville. He's lived in there. He lived in there in some of them hotels.
Oh.
Or he was just a straggler in and out. So, but he
Okay.
visits. So in Knoxville, what they do is, if one hotel ain't got it, they go to another hotel that's connected. Okay, pretty much. It's they run from hotel to hotel trying to find what they need. Now, again, it's one hotel I know. I'm not going to name the hotel name because you know what it is, but it's the one with the one in the back that you all were talking about, pretty much,
Mhm.
and how it's built.
Is it by
That's
Ocala
the
Highway
main
or
one.
well, it's going to be over there by.
That's the
which
main. That's like he just said it. He just said it. That's the main. That's one of the main ones right there. It's the bigger. It's like the. That's your. What's his name? Habibi or whatever. Habib. What is it? Habib? Something like that's his name.
He said called him a Habib, and that he would
Habib.
get
Yeah.
just like you said. You know, obviously he would get a share of the money, a percentage.
Well, what did
So-
they do with him?
What do you mean? Is he alive or not? Is he dead? Is that what you're saying?
I ain't gonna say nothing else.
Oh, did he pass
That
away?
might be. I don't know. I just
Okay.
go to the next question.
There's a motel called the Lake Motel. When you call it, it goes to Florida and no one answers. It's real creepy and sus, says Carrie Lake. And that's in Knoxville.
Right.
I'm going to post the number to the White House. Need to report TBI and FBI to Trump. Need to report Hawkins County. You know, they need to seriously, that whole area, not just Hawkins County, but the
Hawkins
district.
County is so messed up. You know, the jail system is. Even the CO.
It's generational.
So here's what's going on. Let me say this with the FBI, with what I know with the FBI and TBI. Hawkins screwed this whole thing up, okay?
They did.
I'm just going to be honest with you. They didn't do nothing. They sat on it. And then the TBI couldn't do anything. And now that the TBI and FBI has finally taken over and doing what they're doing, it ain't their fault. It really ain't. They're really, I honestly believe, especially with the ones I talk to, is they're trying to do their best. But it's already so far. I mean, look how many years it is. Hawkins had all this and sat on it. Yes, were there calls made in for complaining and stuff? Yes, a lot of them. But they didn't have the jurisdiction at the time to do that.
Did Candace talk to you about law enforcement purchasing them alcohol?
She did. Law enforcement did buy them alcohol.
Yep. Fred witnessed it.
Yep.
They sure damn well did. I'm about ready to say the fucking cop that done it, the ones that done it too. But I mean,
Oh, I've
it's
already
just
said it. Fred knows.
Yeah, they took, once they give them the alcohol, they wanted me to wait 45 minutes before I went and recorded on the 17th.
fuck it.
But yeah, and they were never allowed back up on the hill after that.
Nope, not them.
And I don't know if it messed up the case. That whole thing messed up the case. You know what I mean? Because like that's the ones that you were working with, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes us wonder, you know, like I don't know, did they mess up by doing that?
Well, they did it. They did it to make. Let me just say my point about it. They did it to make Fred's mind at ease. Okay, to say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that. But at the end, Fred had to go through them in the first place just to get to the TBI, so they wanted him to go through them just so they could report what they wanted to report and make it how they wanted it to be to keep Fred away from the TBI. I don't believe they ever wanted Fred to even be around the TBI.
No, they
I
talked
know,
about it even from get-go, you know.
So, how about like, so that was, when was the year, November of, when was that? When was it that we found the bone, or that you found the bones? Like that was over in Dave Bay's driveway that we reported. So people want to make a joke of that. And, you know, they try to act like it was all animal bones and stuff. First of all, you would never know. They're not going to tell us if it was human bones. Law enforcement and the FBI, everybody, they wrote that whole thing off and took that very, very seriously. They collected those, picked out certain bones
most of the bones, but there was some animal bones that was mixed in it when
it was all
in the
crushed
burn pile.
bones in a burn pile. And, you know, and yes, there was some animal bones that you could easily tell were animal bones, but it was odd.
I mean, they don't take and put number cones down at each bone and take photos.
No, they don't.
All that.
There was some substance. Now I've heard something about that. I didn't hear about it. I know that it's the way that they were found too. That's
Mhm.
But Don knows. Here's the thing I'm gonna get at. Don knows how and what that identifies a certain person on the body, the jawbone, the frontal bone. He knows all that.
Oh my
He
God,
knows-
that is so funny that you just said that, because it was the jawbone that I could tell was a animal bone. It was the jawbone was the only thing I could recognize that you could recognize of what kind of bone it was. And it's like, did you put that there to make me think or make people think of the animals, all animal?
So here's the thing. Here's the trick with that. The jawbone is an identifier. Your jawbone, your teeth, and then there's one more thing, and I don't really want to bring it all out, but there's 3 things that identify a person. That it don't matter who you are, that they're going to have records on, and it's going to identify you. It's simple as that. So if you kill someone or you do away with someone, you want to get rid of those 3 things separately. Simple as that.
Yeah. And so, and it was actually Jody Sue that started that whole whole thing, trying to make that a whole big joke, and try to act like, and told everybody that Fred and her set that up on purpose to trick me and everything. Like Jody Sue went tell everybody that, oh, we did that, acted like that was done on purpose.
But
That,
see,
and then
where it was found was on David Bays' property, but it was next to the property line of John Smith's, supposedly where Andy had went and hid some stuff that day too.
Right.
That pack he was supposed to get.
I'm going to say this. And somebody asked if they think the case is going to be solved. I'm going to say I think there's going to be arrests made around or before October. I'm going to say that.
That's my opinion too.
you think before October?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yep.
God.
Thank you, Fred. For vouching on that.
Gosh,
I think that they have enough right now that they don't just know what to charge them with. I think that
he thinks it's going to be by September.
I'm saying late. I'm saying at the latest
Just
October.
a little bit more, you're just giving it a little bit more leeway.
Yeah.
Things has got to go down in Hawkins County at that time.
Oh, really? Like what?
Just through court.
Oh, court, like a jury or okay.
It's going to take. Yeah, I mean, I know 2 of the investigators that's on the case. I mean, like behind the scenes right now that's on it, and I'm going to say October. Before October, but October's deadline. I want to say October's deadline. That's all I want to say.
Let's see. Let's hope that we can go back on this and play this, like,
If we do, hey, look, we have to have a follow up with this.
I know that'd be crazy.
If it's around the times before that, we have to have a follow up, and I'll give you a little bit more information. I think Fred already knows.
Yeah, I know most of it.
I mean, I'll just be straight out with you.
I don't know what's on YouTube and stuff.
No, I'm not putting shit out there on YouTube. I ain't saying nothing on YouTube.
He doesn't know what he could put out and what he can't really like.
Well, I'm going to say this right here. I know it's been going on 2 hours, but let me just say this, Fred. I want to thank you for what you done.
Oh,
I really do, from the bottom of my heart, man. I want to thank you for what you done.
oh, that's so nice.
I've been wanting. I know we didn't have in the beginning. There's tempers, there was flare ups, there was we didn't know the right time to meet, whatever the deal. You know how it is, man. In anything, the way it was being played out, words were being said. I just want you to know that I know that you're in it for your heart on this here. I mean, you might have been, a bad person once before, but we all change. We all can change. And I'm not saying bad as in bad, 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 but I mean you've been
Feeling
sober
crossed
for,
is not
yeah,
good.
right. But
Keep
I do
so
appreciate you for what you've done. I really do. Because I believe what you've
you're
given.
making him tear up.
I believe. I mean, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Ernie. It's
It's
been a
true.
long, hard journey.
It's been a long time. I know who I talked to. I know what they told me, and I'll never say it, but I do believe in the bottom of my heart that you're a good man for what you did, for what you've done. With that, Ziggy, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I go back to this case, it's just it does it pulls heartstrings on me because I know that it was a lot of manipulation, a lot of ridiculousness, a lot of misleads. Um, I hope sometime, you guys, we maybe can be able to talk offline about this. I don't want this YouTube stuff. People take things and they put it in perspectives of their own way, and they try to just put it out there, and they don't even have the facts. Um, you know, I've done what I've done for 15, 20 years now, and I've seen every scenario they are, and then when I come across this case here with Summer Wells, it really floored me. It floored me to know that there's so much evil that can go out there, and to take a little innocent little girl, little smiley little girl, never hurt nobody, and do the things that happened to that little girl, and sit there and be able to act like nothing ever happened that you don't know.
Talked about her
That's
when she's fish food,
that's the that's the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
And to hear what Candace told me,
Mm-hmm.
and to still be able to keep on it over and over.
And then
It's easy.
then you get accused of being involved yourself, and you have to deal with the hate and stuff like that. But you get used to that. You're used to it. Used to it.
I believe God put me in that position. We was busting her first predator that day she went missing. That's the same day. Uh, it was just something to that. I mean, I still to this day I can't really. I didn't know. I wish I could have got earlier in it and with Candace and everything, but the more you look at it and you see the leaders and the rings and the connections and the links, and I just, I just want you all to be very, very careful. And Fred, like I said, man, from the bottom of my heart, man, there's there's no expression, man. I could say, I mean, you did the right thing. You did things that you were brave. You're very brave in what you did and what you've done.
For it, I mean, that's how his drug dealing got exposed to the police and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He knew when they were downloading his phone and stuff what was up, and what was going to end up happening.
But I would, I will say this, and I don't care what law enforcement officers hear me. I would love to take Don Wells, put him on the ground, and let him eat about 50 or 60 elbows as hard as I could swing them. That's a fact. But anyways, check out my channel, Ziggy. It's Unlock Your Reality.
I'll have Fred message you so you guys could talk behind, personally.
Thank you.
So he's bad at trying to he's bad at electronics and stuff like that. So I'll connect him to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And are you needing to go? I guess that's a good time to end it. I mean, it has been a couple hours and it was a very good live. I guess we might as well end it while we're ahead here. And I thank you so much, Ernie. I really appreciate you coming over here and talking with us. It was a very, very interesting live. We have 650 people in here. And
Well, I've got to go live next. I said I was going live after this. I got
everybody go to Ernie's. Let's put
it's one of those nights,
he's got the hat on. He's got the hat on.
And back in the world again. So plus I'm already here. I've been sitting here waiting. I'm waiting on the right things to go down. There's a lot of things. I do appreciate you all. Much respect. God bless you all. And what was that thing I used to say, Ziggy? We the people will protect the children. What was that, Fred? Was that at all cost?
At all cost.
Have fun, guys. Be safe.
See ya. Yeah, what is Ernie's channel, guys? Put it in the. I'm sure one of you guys know.
Do you have a second to talk?
Yeah, here in just a few minutes. I'm about to get off here.
Well, this is a peace offering.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on 1 second. All right. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you put Ernie said he's going live next. So I don't know if you guys have posted the link. I guess I can't see on StreamYard to see if anybody has. I have to look at my phone. I don't. Let me see. Oops. He changes his channel so much. That's the thing. I'm thank you. Gosh, I was trying to find it before I came on here. Unlock your okay. Thank you so much. Right there. If you guys want to go over to Ernie's, he said he's going to be live here in a second, and you can continue the party over there, guys. Thank you guys all so much for being here. Appreciate you all. It was fun.
Thank everybody for coming in.
Yeah. Bye.